When you utilize Google Photos, you frequently don't realize that if you possess a personal account, it has a limitation of 15 gigabytes and that these gigabytes also encompass emails. Consequently, there comes a moment when you require the emails more than the photos themselves. That's the reason you opt to download all those photos to transfer them to another drive or cloud storage so they don't occupy space in your Gmail. In this scenario, let's explore how to create that backup, download all those photos without having to select them individually, going in, downloading and all that, because ultimately it would necessitate a significant amount of time and waiting. So let's simply commence. The initial step, as it couldn't be any other way, is to proceed directly to Google. And what are we going to type into Google? Let's type in Google Takeout precisely like that and proceed to search for it using Google. Alternatively, if you prefer, I'll provide the identical link in the description of this video. Once we arrive here, we'll observe these pages that appear for Google Takeout. You can click on either the first or the second one, it doesn't make a difference. In my situation, I'll click on the first one. If we're already signed in to our email, our Gmail account, it will automatically direct us to this page. If by any chance you haven't signed in yet, you'll need to do so and it will request your information. Don't worry, because the page is entirely official. It's directly from Google. This tool, Google Takeout, is what the tool is named to back up all services. Listen carefully when I say all Google services. Why? As you can observe here, we possess the capability to select from a total of 52 services to create a comprehensive backup. In this particular instance, we are going to commence by disabling all the services listed here because we genuinely won't be utilizing any of them unless you wish to create a backup of your purchases and reservations or your contacts, which is something you can also accomplish, or of all your emails, which you can similarly do in the same manner. However, in this scenario, I don't intend to back up Drive, Feed, or Google Chat, none of those. Disable everything, and as you can see here, Google Photos appears, which is the one we require in this specific case. We leave it enabled and continue disabling the others that we don't need. As you can observe here, if you arrived at this video for the purpose of Google Photos but realize there's something additional you wish to preserve, such as your location history, Google Keep Notes history, places visited history, or preferences in Google Maps, you have the capability to save all of that. This is precisely why in the news and discussions they frequently mention that Google retains a substantial amount of our data, because as you can see, all the data displayed here is information that Google essentially has access to, and we're offering it in a manner to enhance our experience with Google, making it more convenient and enabling us to find everything more swiftly. Nonetheless, it's crucial to exercise caution regarding this, but that's a separate topic altogether. Once we have arrived at this point, having exclusively selected Google Photos, we scroll downwards and proceed to the subsequent step by clicking on the section labeled Next Step. Hello, I apologize for the interruption of the video, but I wanted to remind you that if you enjoy this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe. This naturally leads us to this subsequent point, which states the destination. Send download link via email, add to Drive, add to Dropbox, add to OneDrive, or add to Box. This is specifically for creating a backup from one platform to another. You can do it automatically, but if you wish to upload your files or photos to Mega, for instance, that option is not provided here. Therefore, we opt to send the download link via email. Here it mentions frequency export once, which in this scenario is what we require because this option is very beneficial if we want to create backups regularly. In this instance, we select only once and then proceed to file size and type. Here we can choose zip, which is a compressed file format, to later decompress it and retrieve all the photos. The other file type is something entirely different, and as you can observe here, we would need additional software to decompress this file, so the conventional choice is zip. Then file size, you might wonder why this option appears, because if you examine the number of photos and files you have in Google Photos, you will realize there are a significant amount. Most individuals, when attempting to download, believe they have 2 or 3 gigabytes, but they actually possess much more than that. For example, in this email I think I have very little, but in a previous email I had approximately 120 gigabyte and it was quite substantial. So what does this 2 gigabyte file size signify? It states that exports exceeding this particular size will be divided into several files. So for instance, if we possess a total of 200 gigabytes encompassing all the photos and videos, what occurs? The 200 gigabytes will be divided by 2, resulting in that particular number of files. For this specific example, if we possess 200 gigabyte and opt for 2 gigabyte, it implies that 100 files of 2 gigabyte each will be produced and we will need to download them individually. This is advantageous if we lack a high-speed internet internet connection, and downloading requires a significant amount of time. If you select 50 GB and have 200 GB to download, it will only generate 4 files of 50 GB each. However, if we encounter internet disruptions or have a very slow connection, downloading the file will take a considerable amount of time once it's generated. In that scenario, it's more advisable to choose the 2 GB option. It will be slower because we'll download incrementally, but we won't face issues like the internet suddenly cutting out, canceling the download, or encountering an interruption. For instance, if you're downloading 50 GB and reach 45 GB, when an interruption occurs, the file is cancelled and you'll have to start downloading 50 GB from the beginning. Therefore, it's crucial to consider which option to choose. Personally, I've always opted for 50 GB, although I think there used to be a 20 GB option, which I don't see anymore. It generates independent files and I have no problem with that. Then here I click on where it says create export, and here it says Google is creating a copy of the Google Photos files. This process may take a long time, possibly hours or days. Upon the completion of the export process, you will receive an email notification. It is crucial for you to consistently check this email, specifically the one to which it will be sent, which is the same email address where you are generating the backup. The email might arrive within 5 minutes if you have merely 5 photos uploaded. It's as straightforward as that. Nevertheless, if you possess only 5 photos, it is more convenient to download them individually directly from Google Photos. However, this method is primarily intended for individuals who have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, or even 20,000 photos and videos. That's when it becomes more intricate and Google requires additional time. Based on my personal experience, when I have requested this, it typically takes a maximum of 24 hours, and that's how they eventually appear. This is a test I conducted some time ago, and you receive this email indicating that your Google data is ready to be downloaded. What should we do then? Simply click on the option that states download your files, and it will promptly direct you to the identical page we previously visited, permitting you to download them there in zippy file format. Once you have them, you can upload them anywhere and it's completely easy. Now, these files have a time limit. Don't think that because you generate them from one day to the next, you'll be able to download this backup in 5 years. No. Google sends us the email, tells us that they have generated the backup, etc., but they tell us that we can download the files until a certain date. In this case, I generated them on October 27, 2022, and the deadline was November 3rd, 2022. That means if I tried to download this file on November 5th, 2022, it wouldn't let me because it had already expired. So what should you do in that case? You must revisit the same page, generate it again, create a new export there, and go through the whole process once more, then just wait patiently. As I previously mentioned, it is crucial to consistently monitor the email to make sure you select the appropriate file size. Ultimately, once you have obtained the files, you simply need to utilize software programs such as WinRAR or Zip or whatever you prefer to call it to extract that file and gain access. There are several helpful tips, and those photographs will be accompanied by JSON files, which essentially serve as the metadata for the images and videos. But what exactly is metadata? Basically, where we captured it, if it had access to the exact location at that moment, the camera too, the exact date we took it, and so on. These files can be a bit tedious when browsing through them because sometimes we're looking for a specific photo, but only see blank files, which are the metadata. If you would like, you have the option to unzip that particular file, remove all the JSON files or any other distinct files that may appear, and retain solely the PNG, JPG images, the GIFs, the MP files. Afterward, you can view it as though it were essentially a gallery and subsequently upload it to another Google Drive, directly to Google Photos, OneDrive, or wherever you prefer to do so. So with that said, if you want more information, leave me a comment. Remember to subscribe. See you. Bye bye.